Alrighty, what's going on, my powerlifting people? We have another powerlifting news video. This is going to be a quick one. I'm coming to you from my bench press because this news video is going to be all about the bench press. So we're going to get right into it. And the first thing is going to be regarding information for the Powerlifting America Bench Press National Championships that's happening next year. So in a previous video, I had gone over the various Powerlifting America National Championships. And when it came to the bench press, we didn't know the dates or the location, but we did know that it was going to be in January. So now we have a little bit more information. This hasn't come from Powerlifting America yet. I haven't seen anything on their website at the time of this recording or anything on their Instagram account, but one of their executives did post some of the information on their personal Facebook account, and that's where I saw it. And also they've now created a Bench Nats Instagram account that has some posts on there, but not really much as far as information. So as far as the information they posted up is that the dates are going to be January 14th and 15th. It's going to be in Reno, Nevada, and it looks like it's going to be at the Circus Hotel. So that gives you all the information as far as now we know the dates, we know the location, we know the hotel, and the only thing we're missing out on is because they haven't posted on their website yet, the details as far as like the schedule and how to qualify, like if you have to hit a qualifying toll or if you don't have to hit a qualifying toll and those kind of things. So we don't have all the information yet. We don't have the entry form yet. We don't have the deadline to sign up, anything like that. But at least we have some information now on which weekend it's going to be in January and where it's going to be. And the second news post, I'm sure you knew what it was going to be, is the whole IPF bench rule change. So we have discussed this before on King of Lifts, and plenty of people were discussing on Instagram and everything like that the IPF came out and said that they're going to change the rule. We just didn't know exactly how the rule was going to be changed and how much it's going to affect the lifters. But now they have updated the rule book and they have all the information in there as far as the changes. And now people get a better idea of how they have to adjust their bench going forward. So these rules are going to be in effect January 1st of 2023. So they are not immediate. So if you're doing any kind of IPF or IPF affiliate meet this year, then you can still bench like normal and not have to change anything. But then starting January 1st, these are the changes you have to make. And a lot of people are focusing on one rule change and really focusing on the images, but there's actually 3 rule changes and they're written out there in text in red in the new rule book so you can see what the changes are. So I want to go over those 3 changes word for word so you actually know what the rule changes are, not get confused what some people are saying or what's being posted online, maybe as 1 rule or even 2 rules, but not giving you the full picture. So the first change you'll see under point number 2 is it's actually going to be about the proper starting position and what is the minimum acceptable proper starting position. So it says the picture, proper starting position and setup show the minimal acceptable position. And that is in reference to the beginning of the sentence where the lifter must lie on his back with head, shoulders, and buttocks in contact with the bench surface. So then when you go down into the section where they have the pictures and you see picture A, proper starting position setup, then you see a side view of proper starting position. And then below that, you see a improper setup, picture A and B, a front view and a side view to show that's not the proper starting position. Now, I don't know exactly all the details of what's proper or what isn't. It's kind of vague right now. They're going to have to explain it to us. But what it seems like they are trying to point to in the images and then the whole idea of it is the butt contact. So a lot of people really push the line of how much are their butts in contact with the bench and whether it's the hamstring or whether it's the butt. So now it seems like they're trying to push more towards more of the butt being down and not trying to arch so much where just barely the top hamstring is touching and the butt's actually off, or maybe very barely the butt's touching. So they want to see more contact to try and reduce that arch. So that is the first rule change. The second rule change, staying in that point number 2 under bench press. Now the last sentence that's in red, you'll see that it says during the setup on the bench, the athlete is not allowed to place his or her feet on the bench. So this maybe affects a very minor group of people, but some people do like to put their feet on their bench as they're really trying to dig their shoulders into the bench and set their arch before putting their feet down. So now you're not going to be allowed to do that part of your setup. So if you want to still do an arch, you can, but you have to do it with your feet on the ground the entire time or in the air as you're setting up and then put your feet on the ground. So again, this is vague on what happens if someone touches the bench with their feet. So we'll hopefully get in more information from the IPF to the referees and also to lifters and coaches. But from what I've heard is if you put your feet on the bench accidentally while you're setting up, it's not an automatic no lifting, just walk off and you don't get to do a lift. It's more of a thing like where you rack the bar and have to adjust your position. So if you had like an illegal grip or something like that, that would tell you to rack and you have to adjust your position as far as your grip and then bring the bar out again and start over again while your clock is still running. This would be like a similar thing. If someone accidentally puts their feet on their bench, then the referee would have to maybe get up and tell them, okay, you have to start over. You're not allowed to put your feet on the bench. And during that time that they're explaining to them and then having to start the process up again to set up for the bench press, the clock is still running. So it's not an automatic no lift. It's just something where you have to then focus on getting your setup done without putting your feet on the bench. It's still in that 60-second time. And then finally, the third change, which is what most people are focusing on, is under point number 8, where it says the underside of both elbow joints is lowered level with or below the top surface of each representative shoulder joint. So this is basically an elbow depth is what everyone's calling it. Just like you have squat depth, you have the hip crease below the top of the knee. Now you have a bench step rule where you're looking at the end of the elbow and then the top of the shoulder. So again, this is, a little bit more information probably needs to be put out there. They did put some photos in there, but the photos can be a little bit confusing as well. So we'll see in the coming months what other information they put out there, what kind of education they do for the referees, that kind of stuff. But it looks like they're looking at the top of the shoulder joint when you're just standing normally, and then looking at the end point of the elbow. So they want to see that parallel or in line or below. So you don't have to actually go like below parallel, breaking parallel like you would for the squat. A lot of people, this is the way they think about it, is you have to be at parallel between the end of the elbow and then the top of the shoulder joint. And so all this stuff too as well for the 30 rule changes are just put in there where it's not a specific referee. So all 3 referees are looking for all 3 of these rule changes. So maybe when the IPF puts out more information on this and people start talking about it more and I get more information, I'll put more of a detailed video specifically on this and maybe break down the rules and things referees may be looking for and things that lifters and coaches should be looking for and making adjustments. But for now, I just wanted to get out the information to you and go over the specific 3 rule changes word by word, how it's listed in the IPF rulebook that are going to go into place January 1st. And I'll probably maybe adjust and make some more bench videos on this channel going forward. But for now, you can check out my bench press tips playlist to get more tips and tricks on how to improve your bench press.